On the docket today, we're going to be discussing a potential candidate for the next head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And as we all know, the black and gold will be looking for a new head coach. Darren Rizzi has done a lot of really good things in his short stint as an interim head coach, but I think the Saints should still do a full search, go through a lot of interviews, and make sure that they land on the right man for the next head coach. And Aaron Glenn has been a popular name as a head coaching candidate, not just in the terms of the head coaching cycle, but for the Saints specifically. And in this video, I'm going to discuss why New Orleans should bring in Aaron Glenn and honestly bring him back. And the big reason is because the defense is struggling. Despite having Dennis Allen at the beginning of the season, who was a defensive-minded coach, and as a coordinator, credit where it's due, he's a very, very good defensive coordinator. But as a head coach, we've seen this defense struggle with stopping the run. They are 31st in opponents' yards per rush. That is 5.0 yards per carry against the New Orleans Saints. They also give up a lot of passing yards. They give up a lot of opportunities that could lead to sacks. They do get some pressures. They don't get a lot. And then when they do get the opportunity to get sacks, it's even less. They don't have a true cornerback one because they traded away Marshawn Lattimore. Paulson Adebo has been dealing with an injury, and he's out for the season. And there are depth concerns because there are high-end talent, and it's very expensive, and it is quality. But behind those players, there's just not enough quality depth, and there is just a lot of inconsistent play because some weeks you'll see the defense play absolutely lights out, and then others, they're giving up 50-plus points. So let's talk about Aaron Glenn specifically with his ties to New Orleans. He did play for the Saints back in 2008, and he had a short stint with the black and gold as a cornerback. He got injured and landed him on IR, so we didn't get to see a ton of him play. But in 2016, he did actually take over as the defensive backs coach, and he held that position until the 2020 season. And he followed Dan Campbell. When Dan Campbell left the Saints to take over as the Lions head coach, he followed and took over as the defensive coordinator, earning a upgrade and earning a promotion, if you will, and ever since then, he has been the defensive coordinator for Detroit. Now, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN has been reporting that Aaron Glenn is generating a lot more NFL buzz than in years prior, and I think part of that is due to the fact that the Lions defense, when he first took over, they weren't anything super duper spectacular, but now we're seeing a massively improved defense and a team just overall that is very, very good under Dan Campbell and under Ben Johnson and under Aaron Glenn. So I just got to ask you this question really quick. Where do you think Aaron Glenn will coach in 2025? Will he stick around in Detroit? Will he take a head coaching position? Will he come to the New Orleans Saints? I think it would be pretty cool to see what happens for Aaron Glenn, and I also think it would be pretty cool to see if he could make it in New Orleans because, hey, he's got all those cool ties to the Saints. Now, coming up, we're going to go through the odds for the next head coach. It's updated odds. I looked at them today, and they're the most updated that you're going to get. So we're going to dive into that real quick. But I want to discuss more about what Jeremy Fowler had to say on Aaron Glenn. His name comes up more often in league circles than I remember. And that's not just in relation to the Saints job, to which he has ties as a former assistant coach there. He has always had leadership traits, and now he has the proof of concept with Detroit's surging defense. And that is exactly what they are doing. The Aaron Glenn effect in 2020, before he took over as the defensive coordinator, it was not all that great. Now in 2024, things are starting to turn around. And obviously with Aaron Glenn, he is a coach that has been able to turn a really porous, or not, like a very underwhelming team, I should say, into a much, much better team. So I know I said in 2016, but I wanted to look at the 2020 numbers because the Aaron Glenn effect is very, very good. In 2016, he was with the Saints. They were really good defensively. Their DB group was tremendous. And then he takes over in Detroit. In the 2020, it's really not that great. But look at it now. They are top the league in allowing passing touchdowns. They've only allowed 7 this year. They've only allowed 9 rushing touchdowns this year, which is good for 9th. And just a handful of seasons ago, they were at the bottom of the league. And I think a big part of that is because Aaron Glenn has helped establish a culture defensively. And I think that the Saints, they do have a little bit of a culture. I think that They are a squad that has an identity, but I think that it could be stronger, and I think that it could be a much more present identity. And I think part of it is adapting the mindset that Dan Campbell of bite your kneecaps off. I think part of that is that, but I also think part of it is that Aaron Glenn is a smart coach and he is establishing culture as a leader. And I think that that's something that the Saints are missing on the defensive side of the ball, a defensive coach that can lead the team, that can put them in the position to succeed. And I will say this. An offensive coach would be nice for the New Orleans Saints, and I'm talking as a head coach. I think an offensive-minded head coach, and I don't think I'm the only Saints fan out there that has his opinion. I think that would be the ideal situation. But when it comes to Aaron Glenn, you've seen him turn water into wine with the Detroit Lions defense. And I think that Detroit plays a lot of complementary football. The Detroit Lions defense has been really, really good, but don't get it twisted. The offense has been absolutely stellar. So when you combine the two, of course you're going to have a 10-1 football team, and of course you're going to see the success that you have seen in the NFC North and for Detroit specifically. And I will say this, if we go with the route of bringing in Aaron Glenn, I'm all for keeping Clint Kubiak's offense as the plan, but I do want to see a little bit more. I think that the Saints offense has proven that they are capable of scoring a lot of points. They did it 2 weeks in a row against the Panthers and against the Cowboys in those first 2 weeks. This past game, you put up 35 against the Cleveland Browns. But can they consistently do it? Can they win in a shootout? Can they take over a game? Can you lean on your offense and say, offense, you go score points. We're going to do our job and try and limit this team or the opposing team from getting as many yards, as many points as possible. If we give up a touchdown, hey, you got to go and get it as well. And I just haven't seen it consistently enough in Clint Kubiak's offense. And if you take away weeks 1 and 2, they do not score a lot of points. They're averaging 19 points per game, which right now across the league, it would rank about 25th. And so for Aaron Glenn specifically, right now, his defenses are allowing 183 total points. That is second in points allowed across the entire NFL. And that is really, really good, especially considering that they are 12th in total yards allowed with just over 3,500. So for Aaron Glenn, I think that he could be a really good addition to the Saints coaching staff. And I think that if you have Aaron Glenn be your head coach, that is a really good decision. It's just a matter of honing in the offensive side of the ball as well and maximizing the talent on the defensive side of the ball. I'd be interested to see what what coaches he would bring in to be a part of his staff, who would be his assistants and all that. Maybe he brings some talent from Detroit as well. I think it could be a pretty good decision to bring Aaron Glenn in. But we talked about the pros and cons of an offensive and a defensive coach. So let me know, what kind of coach do you want? Give me an O for offensive. Give me a D for defensive. And if you still need to get a Christmas gift or a holiday gift for a loved one, well, you can go and get one on sale. Chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. Black Friday is here. Cyber Monday right around the corner. So go ahead and get yourself a new jersey, or get your kid, get your friend, get your family member, your grandpa, your dad, your uncle. I don't care. Get somebody a new Saints jersey. They have all shapes, all sizes, all colors, men, women, children. I don't care what you need. We have you covered. Chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. The link is in the comments and description of this video. Now, as promised, the next head coaching odds are as follows. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, is leading the charge. He also has ties to LSU, so he has ties to Louisiana. Pretty cool if you ask me. Darren Rizzi, he is at plus 400. He actually keeps continuing to climb the head coaching odds, which is pretty interesting. And I think as long as he keeps winning, he's going to keep climbing the ranks. Ben Johnson, interesting enough, plus 500 odds. Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, at plus 700. And Aaron Glenn, the man we've been talking about this entire video, he currently has plus 800 odds. And I do think that ultimately the Saints are a team who are going to do their research on Aaron Glenn. They're going to bring him in for an interview. They're going to have interest. And I think that that's a good thing for the Saints. I think he could be a really good coach in the long term, but I do think that Darren Rizzi is making a very strong case. And to be totally honest, he has been a guy who for a long time has believed special teams coordinators make the best head coaches. And he even wrote an article about this for the 33rd team not too long ago, back in 2021. So why special teams coordinators make good head coaching candidates? Guys, it's a really, really good read. It didn't take me all that long to skim through it. I mean, it's very informative. I think it's really cool. We've broken it down on the channel before, so if you want, you can go ahead and find it on the video, find a breakdown of this on the channel. But I will say this. Aaron Glenn, I think, would be a great decision for a head coaching candidate. I also think Darren Rizzi is making a very strong case, but that is not where I'm going to leave it. I want to see the Saints go through a full search. If Aaron Glenn is the guy, then hey, he's the guy. I'm all for it. But if he's not, and it's a better decision to go with a Darren Rizzi, or if a Ben Johnson wants to come, or if Joe Brady, Todd Monken, any of those guys are a better fit, then that's just doing business here. I think Aaron Glenn would be an excellent decision, but I want you to let me know who will be the next head coach. Predict it down in the comment section. Not who do you want, who is it gonna be? Let me know what you think. And thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. I hope you guys have had a wonderful holiday week. Have a wonderful weekend. Let's go Saints. Who Dat Nation will be live on game day an hour before kickoff. See y'all there. Y'all stay golden.